Prime Minister Ponta, Victor, it's very good to welcome you again in Jerusalem. We had the opportunity a few months ago to have a quiet dinner together. It was an excellent opportunity to get to know you and to also continue the extraordinary friendship between our two countries. The fact that your visit is accompanied by so many ministers and is matched by our ministers is a testament to the further strengthening of our relations. I think this is a commitment we both share. It's something that reflects historical ties. We have a vibrant Jewish community from Romania. They're very proud Israelis, very proud Romanians, and it's reflected in what we did today. We've just signed a series of agreements in environmental protection, in medical science, in care for senior citizens, in information and communications technology, in Holocaust remembrance, in educational technologies and work visas. It's very important for our construction plans, as well as our infrastructure, to have Romanian expert workers. And in addition, we signed, I think, a very important specific agreement on the laser project, which I think will advance our field and our expertise in both areas, in both countries. Our cooperation makes both our countries stronger. And we both seek the same things. We want prosperity for our citizens, and we want tranquility for our countries. We both seek peace and security. We seek it in the Middle East. We seek it in Eastern Europe. We seek it in the entire world. We share a strong commitment to democracy, to freedom, to the rule of law. We also share a commitment for the fight against bigotry and all forms of anti-Semitism. Racism and intolerance, and anti-Semitism has perhaps been the worst intolerance in history, and I think there's a special responsibility and need to combat the forms of anti-Semitism that we see emerging in parts of Europe. We have a centuries-old affinity between us, and I believe that we have to make sure that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past and embrace the future. There are forces that seek to bring us back to a dark age. They're in the Middle East, but they also send their killers, fighters they call them, into Europe. And I think we need to define a clear fault line between civilization and savagery and take concrete action against the forces of darkness. Last night we heard Khaled Mashal, the leader of Hamas, praise and defend the brutal kidnapping of 3 innocent Israeli teenagers who are making their way home from school. Mashal once again made clear that Hamas remains committed to its war against Israel and its war against every Israeli citizen, and coincidentally, against every Jew around the world. So how could President Abbas make an alliance with these terrorists who extol kidnapping? I appreciate what President Abbas said a few days ago in Saudi Arabia, rejecting the kidnapping. I think these were important words. Now, if he really means what he said about the kidnapping, and if he's truly committed to peace and to fighting terrorism, then logic and common sense mandate that he break his pact with Hamas. This is the only way that we can move forward. I think this is something that is shared by many in Europe who understand that the quest for peace and stability and tranquility means that we have to fight the forces of terror, intolerance, and darkness. There can be no alliance with the kidnappers of children. Prime Minister, it's something that I know you share, and I know these are common values. Those values are expressed in our cooperation, and I look forward to further strengthening the alliance and the friendship between Romania and Israel. Welcome to Jerusalem.
Prime Minister, distinguished ministers, first of all, allow me to express on behalf of myself and the member of the Romanian government how happy and grateful we are for having this opportunity to meet you here in Jerusalem and to talk and decide important things about our bilateral cooperation. I appreciate even more that you have decided to keep this scheduled meeting despite the crisis, the tragedy maybe, that you are confronted with. And I would use this opportunity to express on behalf of the Romanian government, the Romanian people, our total solidarity, our support. I am a father. I know that always kids, teenagers are the innocent victims of the political wrong decisions. And I can assure you, Prime Minister, you and your people, that Romanian people, European citizens, they praise most of all the value of life, the value of human rights, the safety of the new generations. And I cannot say that we completely understand the dangers and the tragedy that you are now confronted with, but we are absolutely solidar, and we think that this kind of tragedies should not be accepted, should not be only let pass like something natural and or normal. And as a European and a citizen of a modern world, I want to condemn any kind of violence like this and to express to you and to your government and to your people all our solidarity. You have mentioned our bilateral relationship, which I would also consider as being excellent, and it's not something for the last few years. It has been for a long period of time. I'm just very proud to continue this tradition of excellent political bilateral relationship. But I am also very happy to acknowledge that almost, if I'm not wrong, 14 bilateral agreements have been signed by the member of our two cabinets, and that gives positive perspective in the future for cooperation in protecting the environment, technology and research, and I think that Israel is a model for the whole world in advanced technology, in investing in the new technology and research. Education, and here I can only say that the government of Romania and all our education system, we are trying to improve not only the general education of our kids, of our new generations, but also a better knowledge of the past. And here we have worked together with the Minister of Education in trying to teach the new Romanian generation about the past, about the Holocaust, about the tragedy that happened not only in other countries of Europe, but even in Romania, to assume this past and to do everything that depends on us not to repeat it again or not to ignore it like it is happening in some parts of Europe. I am proud to tell you, Prime Minister, and to your ministers, that during the recently European election, Romania has not sent to the European Parliament not even one representative of a racist, populistic, anti-Semitic political force. I cannot say the same about other European countries, and me as a political leader, I'm very much concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism, about the rise of populism and racism in Europe, and I hope that Romania will remain an open society, a democratic and free society, and we will be able to fight against any tendencies of reviving the ghost of the past. And based on this, I can assure you and your people that you will always find in Romania friends and partners for all your important partnerships. We have used this opportunity to speak about important economic relationship because Romania is right now in a positive process of economic growth, of creating jobs, and enlarging our economic relationship will be a win-win situation. And more specifically, I think that our cooperation in combating terrorism and cybercrime, it's a very important project for both countries, and we have a lot to learn from your experience and your specialist, but you will be amazed that even Romania is already very advanced in these two specific sectors of combating cybercrime and terrorism. I would only mention the research, and I'm very pleased that your specialists are going to be involved in what is now for Romania and for Europe one of the most important research projects, ELI, Extreme Light Infrastructure. I'm not a specialist, I'm just a poor lawyer, but I understand that having the most advanced laser technology, it will be a great advantage for Europe, for Israel, to use this technology for improving the economic development, but also our defense capacity in front of all kinds of dangers. I will not mentioning more than this, but I'm very happy that we have succeeded to advance in the cooperation in the health sector, in the labor legislation and cooperation. And I would just say that Israel is a special partner for Romania, even because around 200,000 Israeli citizens, they have Romanian origins, and we are very proud of the tradition and the inheritance of the Jewish community in Romania, and we really want to continue to use this common history to improve our relationship. I have presented to the Prime Minister Netanyahu the last developments on the European stage. Europe is now concentrating in having a new political leadership, a new President of the Commission, new President of the European Parliament. It's also very much concerned about the political crisis which is at our border in Ukraine, in Crimea, the relationship with Russia, but nevertheless, Europe should also understand that this part of the world, it's also very important, that what is happening here, it will affect sooner or later the life of Europeans, and that we must be on the side of the peace, dialogue and security for all the people in this part of the world. It's not so far as sometimes we think in Europe, this region, and we should be much more involved in finding the solution for peace, security and dialogue. I would just conclude expressing our gratitude for the kind welcoming of all the ministers, and to say once again, Prime Minister, that in front of tragedies we should not remain silent or close the eyes or think that it's not our concern. Every citizen of this world, every teenager of this world should be protected and should have a right and an opportunity to live his life in a safety environment. And please receive our solidarity. Thank you very much.